with the public comment portion coming at the beginning of the workshop, citizens are not going to be able to participate in a helpful manner with information about things that are discussed during your workshop. As an aside, today's agenda and packet weren't online today until after 3:30 p.m., so it was really difficult to know what you were going to be talking about today in regards to your workshop, so a little bit of a time factor there. So I did some research, and so the two related government entities that are closest to you, City of Camas has 2 public comment periods during their workshop. One at the very beginning of the workshop, no express time limit. One at the end of the workshop, again, no express time limit. And the council allows for the speaker to join them at their workshop table if they choose to do so. They don't have to. At the City of Camas regular meetings, there's a public comment period, of course, at the end, just like you have. It's during a non-agenda item with the public speaking first, then the staff, then the council comments. So that's the order of the meeting. The Port of Washougal, Port of Camas Washougal, I see you have representatives here today. Good. Has 2 public comment periods. One at the beginning of their after their business discussion items, and again at the end before adjourning. They allow 5 minutes per person. So far, this has worked out pretty well. All the meetings that I reviewed in Clark County allow for public comments. There are no government entities that I've found choosing not to have public comments. I think there's also an extra service in the City of Vancouver. They have a citizens advocate. This is a person that you can contact if you have a citizen's complaint, and they work with all of the divisions and departments to coordinate finding solutions. So I have a question. Why is the public comment period now at the beginning of your workshop? And what can your citizens do to help you be more comfortable in having public comments presented? This time is very important to your citizens and hopefully to you as their representatives. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public that wishes to address the council? Okay. Trevor, you are up first with presentation.
Yes, I'd like to welcome Bart Gerhardt with Department of Transportation, as well as Chris Taines. They'll be walking us through the Phase 1 project, where it stands right now, and giving us an update. I believe they did it over at the City of Camas a few weeks ago, and also got some feedback. So thank you for attending.
Thanks, Mayor and Council, for allowing us to come in again. I think it's this is the 3rd or 4th time we've shared what we're doing on Highway 14 with you. I think also with the Port of Camas Washougal. I think the last 2 times was with Camas, but I don't recall for sure. Some of you are new, so I don't know how much the background I'll give you, but in general, those of you that aren't new to council or been closely involved in the project, we haven't changed it at all on the actual physically what we're going to build since the last time we gave you an update, probably around 2 years ago or so. This aerial up on the board here is a plan of what we're going to build. The yellow is the new roadway. It's 2 different parts. The top part is the west half of the project. The bottom part is the east. It's split right down the middle just to get it all on the screen on proper scale. I'll start over on the left. Does this all work for you? You sitting up here talking? I left my pointer back at the office. I'm sorry. Be a little more convenient. Pointer, that's okay. Up on the top left-hand side is the 6th Avenue exit that comes into Camas. If you pull off there, continue over the West Camas Loop Bridge. The West Camas Loop Bridge will be modified, not what we originally hoped to do. We originally hoped to build another 2 lanes to the upstream of the existing, but for a variety of reasons, we couldn't do that. Primarily, it was economics. That bridge by itself costs over $20 million to add those 2 extra lanes. Part of the reason, the main reason for the extreme cost, I mentioned this to you last time, for those of you there, is due to the seismic retrofit that's necessary, as well as the liquefaction issues that are necessary. What seismic retrofit is doing is that we learned through the different earthquakes we've had across the planet, really, over in Japan especially, and in California, that our steel design in our different members inside the concrete isn't adequate. And so we have to strengthen that up, and how do you do that is, you take the columns and you wrap them with steel all the way up. You take various other members, hold up the girders, and you reinforce those, make them, beef them up. You take the girders and beef those up. But you go all the way down to the footing, and you have to beef up the footing too in each of those connections. The new design that came out in 2008 for the United States for bridge has what we call a 1,000-year event. So we're designing it for, I think it's 1/1000th of a chance to occur in any 1 year, and what type of motion will that cause? That, again, causes our standards went up, therefore our costs went up. Not only that, mentioned that seismic retrofit, the seismic issue they talked about. Equal to seismic is what we call liquefaction. Liquefaction is the ability of the soil to hold up an object. In this case, it's a bridge. Thank you. The soil underneath the channel is highly liquefiable, which means so the bridge is basically the footings of the bridge that exist there now are down in its liquefiable soil. So if we had an earthquake, it would basically be like standing on top of a bunch of sand, and the earth moves, you're going to sink into the sand. And that's what would happen. The bridge will basically just sink out to oblivion and fall, and the folks on the bridge would go down with it. To stabilize that, we know how to do that. And what we need to do is go into the bottom of the channel, underneath the footings, and add a whole bunch of injected concrete and piling, et cetera, to stabilize that. It's not, it's in our long-term plan to do that type of retrofit. But again, the total cost between the seismic retrofit, liquefaction retrofit, and adding the 2 extra lanes is $20 million. We went through a process, again, before we met with you last time, and evaluated where is the best place to spend the money that we have for the project. And we came up with a plan that we're planning on building. We do keep the idea of adding the 2 extra lanes in our long-term plan. We also keep the idea of doing the retrofit in our long-term plan. Do you want to pull up the bridge cross-section, please? There you go. So, thanks. So what we have here is this is the West Kamaslu, this is the East Kamaslu Bridge. The West Kamaslu Bridge has, these are 2 columns, cross beam, and then girders holding up 2 lanes today. If you look at it closely, you go out there at the edge of the embankment and look over, you'll see that all the extra width for the bridge has already been built back in the early 60s when they built. So all you have to do is come in and add the extra 2 lanes. So why does it cost $20 million? Well, I just mentioned you have to go through and wrap the columns and beef up every single member all the way down, and then go underneath the channel at each of the different piers and go underwater and do a side injection and grouting to stabilize the soils, etc. And then you can just drop on 2 extra lanes on top. Putting the extra 2 lanes on top is the cheap part. If we can't legally, according to our standards for engineers, civil engineers, add more capacity to the bridge without doing that other work. You can't do one without the other. So basically what we're doing is as much modifications to the existing bridges as we can without going through the $20 million of expense. So what we're doing is, down here below, I don't know if you can zoom into that or not, but you don't need to, I'll just explain it. We're going to cut off the existing railings. There's old railings and guardrail on the existing bridge. We're going to cut those off and scab on a different type of railing. It's going to gain us a couple feet per side. So at the end, what we hope to do, this will be the end of our construction project that Chris will talk about here in a minute. This will be the end of our stage 1 or